My favorite dungeon in all of Zelda games is the Spirit Temple. I think several of you who've been around here for a while will probably know that answer. The dungeon is terrific. It sums up the greatest game of all time so well. It's structured brilliantly where you're a child in one half and an adult in the other. It forces you to use all your knowledge you've gained through the game. The theme, the music, just too many things to list are nailed in this dungeon. But I've talked about it before. Maybe too much. The latest game, Tears of the Kingdom, also had a Spirit Temple, and it disappointed me. It's not that it was bad, I was just hoping for much more. I recall the first time playing this game, I came across it. I had only been in one of the temples and was just wandering around the depths because, why not? Yeah, and just happened to stumble across it. I couldn't access it as you need to complete several things before it opens up. Like, you do a whole bunch of steps and you come running up on like this big robot to like open it up and all that stuff, so I wasn't going to see it yet in this phase of the game. But it got me thinking about this dungeon. I knew there were going to be the 4 dungeons, kind of the same spot in Breath of the Wild, but what other dungeons might there be in this game? What other temples would the game gift us to explore? Which turns out, it really just was this one, and there really wasn't much of one. So yeah, my hopes of having more epic dungeons were saddened. And I figured it'd be fair to go further into why that's the case. It is a bold claim to say a Zelda temple is a disappointment, as most are absolutely terrific levels. What was the issue with the Spirit Temple? So feel free to buckle up, as here comes yet another video. The temple is just a rock'em sock'em boss fight. That's it, you can unbuckle now. Or I guess you can stick around as I can kind of explain some more. Now, the whole level of this game we have to find the 5th stage does have a lot more to it, but I'll get into that a bit later. I'm just looking at strictly the Spirit Temple, that's what we're talking about here. What I was hoping for would be another improved dungeon in Tears of the Kingdom, which I was quite happy with the improvements. This was just like an elevator down to a sanctuary where you end up fighting a robot, which is a neat fight, and you just got your own robot to use. Yeah, your robot is the newly acquired 5th stage Mineru, or her spear like trapped inside some kind of Zonai transformer, and your opponent is a Seized Construct, basically just a Ganon cursed robot. And essentially it is like a death battle of 2 robots, which, is a really neat concept and really super fun. And once you do win, well, hopefully you do win, you don't lose. And after you win, you talk to Mineru, and that's it. The temple is complete. No puzzles, no cryptic layout to explore. It's just this rock'em sock'em fight. But yes, it's probably fair that I gotta cover what happens beforehand too, as there were plenty of challenges leading up to it. Maybe a little too much. You gotta do like the Ring and Kakariko Village, you end up like going to those sky islands that were covered by the thundercloud and all that stuff. But the challenges are fun is you have to assemble the robot. You eventually get to the depths and find the location to assemble Mineru's robot. And you must gather the 4 parts of it around the depot. I probably said her name wrong a lot. I think I'm closer to saying Manure, like Poopy. But to be clear, this isn't Poopy, this ain't Call of Duty, so we gotta make sure that is clear. I really do like these challenges. They all involve using Zonai technology to move these parts around each depot and assemble her on this stand. You build her up and off you go to the fight we just talked about. And I think it's pretty clear that this was intended to be kind of like the dungeon exploration element of this level. I think that's what the game designers were going for, and the Spirit Temple is more just to be where the final boss of it was. But in playing the level, it just left me disappointed. I think when we would have finally gone to the temple, there would have been more puzzles to solve. A more cryptic layout to explore. You wouldn't just use this robot for smashing, it could be used for so many good puzzles. But that's what it was. Yes, it was a good section before this temple that felt a little bit like a dungeon, but we're talking about the temple itself here. It just needed more. And maybe I guess they didn't want this part of the story mission to be that long, they wanted the Spirit Temple just to be the fight. Which I guess is fine if they don't want the entire section of the 5th stage being this long, but maybe cut out a few other things on the surface or something. But the Spirit Temple would have been a great place to cap what would have been a very good list of temples. Instead, if you look just strictly at the temple itself, it's a single fight, and it needed more. It's even more disappointing when you think about the original Spirit Temple. Man, what a good level that was. It was the last temple before the final level. It used up all we had learned in the game. Great theme, great music. Enjoyed the boss fight, although the controls could have been a little better. It's the N64 though, we can cut them a little bit of slack there. If you were looking for a level to model yours after, then a great example would be the Spirit Temple. So if you are a Zelda game, and you have Spirit Temple in your name, you have high expectations for yourself. Tears of the Kingdom is only the 2nd time they've used the name. They were close to the entire game Spirit Tracks and the Spirit Tower and stuff, but nah, Spirit Temple has only showed up twice in both Ocarina of Time and Tears of the Kingdom. They must have known how special it is. They know they must have nailed it the first time. And a lot of what they did in the Tears of the Kingdom Spirit Temple was good, but it needed to be exceptional to meet the predecessor's level. And it wasn't that. It was just 2 robots battling it out. It just wasn't as good as the Ocarina of Time level. Which I get, it's hard to meet that level. The thing was insane, but if you're gonna go this route, if you're gonna name a level after the Spirit Temple, you gotta make sure it's gonna knock it out of the park. And to me, the Tears of the Kingdom Spirit Temple, it just didn't. It just didn't. I feel bad too, as I did enjoy this level, but I truly did leave me disappointed. There were too many factors against it. The fight was good, but it was just a fight. The section before it felt like a good part of the dungeon, but that technically doesn't count as a Spirit Temple. And this temple shares the name of an extraordinary dungeon, and anything less than extraordinary would feel disappointing. So yeah, it's a shame. The level didn't deserve this feeling, and maybe some of y'all feel differently about it. Maybe you all have better feelings for it. It ain't the first time someone hasn't agreed with me. Based on my latest college midterm, the professor does not agree with much of my answers. So yeah, feel free to debate me on it. I'm just giving what I feel about this level, and unfortunately it was a disappointment.